I saw it in the rearview mirror at mile marker 34, standing in the middle of Route 49 like a slash of midnight cut into reality. It was at least 9 feet tall, impossibly thin, and it didn't move when our headlights hit it. My girlfriend Sarah grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise and whispered, "Don't stop, Jake. Whatever you do, don't stop the car." When I checked the mirror again 3 seconds later, the thing was 100 yards closer, and we were going 70 miles per hour. This was supposed to be a simple weekend trip. Sarah and I had driven up to her parents' cabin in Millbrook, spent 2 days hiking and pretending our phones didn't exist, and left Sunday night to beat the work week. Route 49 was the fastest way home, a straight shot through pine forest and nowhere towns, the kind of road where you might see 3 other cars in an hour. It was 11:43 p.m. when we passed mile marker 34, and we hadn't seen another vehicle in 20 minutes. "What the hell was that?" I asked, my eyes flicking between the road and the mirror. The shadow was still there, but it was moving now, not walking or running but gliding across the asphalt. It matched our speed perfectly, staying about 50 yards back, its form rippling like smoke but maintaining that elongated human shape. No face, no features, just a column of absolute darkness that seemed to absorb the moonlight. Sarah twisted in her seat to look through the back window. "Oh, God. Oh, God. Jake, it's getting closer." Her voice had gone high and thin, panic sharpening every word. "How is it keeping up?" "We're going 75. I pressed the accelerator harder, the old Honda shuddering as it hit 80. The shadow didn't fall behind. If anything, the distance between us was shrinking. Mile marker 35. The shadow was now close enough that I could see it had no legs. Just a pointed bottom that touched the road without friction. Its top swayed slightly, like a reed in wind, and where it passed, the white center line seemed to darken. "There's a gas station at mile marker 40, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We'll stop there, get inside, call the police." "No." Sarah grabbed the wheel, nearly sending us into the ditch. "I told you not to stop. Tia, my dad told me stories about this road, about things people see out here. You can't stop. Tia, you can't let it catch up. You just have to outrun it until you're off Route 49. I looked at her like she was crazy. But the fear in her eyes was real and ancient. The kind of fear that lives in folk tales and grandmother's warnings. Mile marker 36. I pushed the Honda to 90. The engine screamed in protest, and the whole car vibrated like it might shake apart. The shadow kept pace, effortlessly. It was close enough now that I could see its reflection in the side mirrors too, triangulating our car from behind. And I realized with a sick lurch in my stomach that it was taller than before, maybe 10 feet now, growing as it gained on us. "What did your father tell you?" the teen demanded, weaving slightly to avoid a pothole. "What the hell is that thing?" Tia was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face as she kept her eyes locked on the rearview mirror. Tia called it the Road Walker. Tia said his brother saw it back in 1987, saw it follow his truck for miles. His brother stopped at a rest area. Kay found his truck there the next morning, engine still running, driver's door open. Tay never found him. Mile marker 37. My phone showed no signal, just the glowing line of Route 49 on the GPS, with nothing around us for miles. We were in the dead zone, the stretch of forest where even radio turned to static. I tried Sarah's phone, same thing. The shadow was close enough now that I could see it in the actual rear window. Not just the mirror, a towering column of wrong that hurt to look at directly. "How far until we're off this road?" I asked through clenched teeth. Sarah fumbled with her phone, trying to make the GPS work. 12 miles. We entered Route 49 at mile marker 34, and it ends at 46, where it meets the interstate. 12 miles. We'd barely covered 3, and the shadow was nearly on top of us. At this rate, we'd never make it. Mile marker, 38. The temperature in the car dropped suddenly, our breath misting in the air. The shadow was right behind us now, so close that it filled the entire rear window, a wall of darkness that blocked out the road behind. I could feel it somehow, a pressure against my spine, a weight that made it hard to breathe. The Honda's engine began to sputter. No, 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 don't you dare, I begged the car, pumping the gas pedal. We were down to 70, then 65. The shadow loomed larger, and I realized it was leaning forward, reaching toward us. Where its top portion touched the roof of the car, frost spread across the metal with a crackling sound. Sarah screamed, a raw sound of pure terror. I did the only thing I could think of. I cut the wheel hard to the right, sending us off the road and onto the shoulder. Gravel sprayed. The car fishtailed wildly, but I managed to keep it from flipping. We bounced and skidded for 50 yards before I could muscle us back onto the asphalt. Squeeve. When I checked the mirror, the shadow had fallen behind, maybe 100 yards back. It stayed in the center of the road during our maneuver. It can't leave the road, I gasped. Did you see? Kea? When we swerved, it didn't follow. Kea stayed on the pavement. Sarah nodded frantically, understanding blooming through her fear. My dad said his brother tried to off-road it in his truck, made it about 20 feet before he hit a tree. The impact wasn't bad, but it killed his engine. That's when the shadow caught up. Mile marker, 39. I kept the car at 80, the engine running smoother now. The shadow was pacing us again, but keeping that 100-yard distance. It seemed larger still, maybe 11 feet tall, its form becoming more defined. Akutsi might have been arms now, long appendages that dragged on the ground behind it. Where they touched the asphalt, the road surface looked warped, melted. Why is it doing this? I asked. What does it want? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Dad said it's hungry. Route 49 was built in 1952, paved right over an old indigenous trail. Before that, it was a deer path. Before that, something else used it, something that walked in the spaces between things. The road trapped it somehow, bound it to this route. How it takes travelers. It's been taking them for 70 years. Mile marker 40. The gas station I'd hoped to stop at appeared on our right. A dark shell of a building with broken windows and a caved-in roof. It had been abandoned for years, I realized. There was no help here, no refuge. The shadow passed the station without slowing, its attention fixed solely on our car. I noticed something else. The mile markers were getting darker, harder to see, as if the shadow was draining the light from everything around us. 6 more miles, Sarah said, her hand locked on the door handle. Can we make it? I checked the gas gauge, half a tank, plenty to reach the interstate. The engine was holding steady. But the cold was getting worse, ice forming on the inside of the windows now. I cranked the heat to full blast, but it did nothing. Its cold was coming from outside reality, from whatever the shadow was. Mile marker, 41. Something changed. The shadow suddenly accelerated, closing the distance between us in seconds. It was right behind us again, and this time I could see into it, through it, down a tunnel of darkness that seemed to extend forever. There were things moving in that darkness, shapes that might have been people once. A Tysaw truck's grill, a sedan's bumper, all spinning slowly in an endless void. It's going to touch us, Sarah shrieked. The shadow's arms were extending forward, reaching for the Honda's bumper. I pushed the accelerator to the floor, but we were maxed out at 95, and the car couldn't give me any more. The shadow's fingers, impossibly long and jointed in too many places, brushed against the rear bumper. The car jerked backward, actually pulled backward, our speed dropping to 80, despite the floored accelerator. The shadow was reeling us in, hand over hand, pulling itself along our car like a rope. Frost consumed the trunk, spreading across the rear windshield. Sarah unbuckled her seatbelt and crawled into the back seat. "What are you doing?" I yelled. She grabbed our camping gear, the tent bag and sleeping bags, everything loose. "Lee, when I say so, you pop the trunk, Ka." She positioned herself at the rear seats. "Ready? Now." I hit the trunk release. Ka. It flew open, and Sarah shoved everything out in a tumbling mass of fabric and poles. The shadow's arms tangled in the gear, and for a moment it fell behind, ripping through the camping equipment like a shredder. But we'd gained distance, maybe 200 yards. Sarah crawled back to the front seat, her face pale. "That won't stop it. Nothing stops it. We just have to reach the interstate. Mile marker 42. 4 miles to go." The shadow was coming again, faster now, its form shifting and changing. Tiply. It wasn't just tall anymore. It was wide, spreading across the entire road, blocking any chance of turning around. My mind raced through options, each more desperate than the last. "The swerve worked before," I said. "If it can't leave the road, what if there's a turn?" "It would have to go straight while we turn." "Right." Sarah checked the GPS frantically. "There's nothing. Route 49 is straight until it hits the interstate. It turns, no exits, nothing." She was right. I could see the road ahead in the headlights, a perfect line cutting through the forest. Mile marker 43. 3 miles. The shadow was close enough that I could smell it now, an odor like ozone and rotting leaves. Atanda's electrical system began to fail, the dashboard lights flickering, Atanda radio turning itself on and cycling through static. A voice came through the speakers, broken and distorted. "Stop, ... The car, ... Join us, ... Road, ... I punched the radio off, but the voice continued, coming from everywhere now. "So many have joined us, ... So many, ... Years of travelers, ... You'll like it, ... In the between. No pain, ... No fear. Just the endless, ... Double quotes. Sarah covered her ears, but I could tell she heard it too. The shadow was inside the car with us now, not physically but in some other way, invading our space. Mile marker 44. 2 miles. I could see other shapes in the shadow now, definitely human forms, pressed against the darkness like faces against glass. They were screaming silently, hands outstretched. Kai recognized one, a young woman in 1980s clothing, her hair frozen in a permanent wind. The missing travelers, I realized. They weren't dead. They were part of it, absorbed into the shadow, made into fuel for its existence. "Jake, I have an idea, but you're going to think I'm crazy." Sarah was looking at something on her phone, a downloaded map she'd saved before we lost signal. Route 49 ends at mile marker 46, right where it meets Interstate 90. But look at the construction date. The interstate was built in 1956. It's 4 years after Route 49. There was an intersection before that, a crossroads. "So what?" I demanded, fighting to keep the car steady as the shadow's pressure increased. "The crossroads are gone." Sarah shook her head. "No, they're paved over. A tease, but the roads are still there, underneath. Dad used to say, crossroads have power, that things like this can't cross them without permission. What if we can make it to exactly mile marker 46? What if the old crossroads still count? Mile marker 45, 1 mile. It was the thinnest thread of hope, based on folklore and desperation. But looking in the mirror at the shadow, now so large it seemed to fill the world, I'd believe anything. "What do we do at the crossroads?" I asked. Sarah's laugh was half sob. "I don't know. Every story's different. Some say you have to offer something. Some say you just have to acknowledge it, speak to it. Some say you have to make a choice." The shadow surged forward, its arms wrapping around the entire car now. The windows cracked with frost, the metal groaning. We were being crushed and pulled simultaneously, the Honda's frame shrieking in protest. I could feel the shadow's hunger, vast and ancient, the accumulated appetite of 70 years of feeding. It wanted us, desperately, wanted to add us to its collection of frozen moments. "There," Sarah pointed. In the distance, illuminated by the interstate's lights, I could see the overpass at mile marker 46. The shadow saw it too, and it redoubled its efforts, arms tightening. The rear windshield shattered inward, spraying us with glass. The trunk crumpled with a sound like a scream. We were going 60 now, 50, 40, the shadow literally eating the car from behind. I could see the faces clearly now, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all the people the shadow had taken over the decades. They were aware, trapped in eternal transit, forever traveling but never arriving. One of them, an old man in a trucker's cap, locked eyes with me. His mouth moved. "Run. Mile marker 46. We crossed it doing 30 miles per hour, the car barely functioning, the shadow's arms fully inside the vehicle now. Sarah grabbed my hand and screamed, "I acknowledge you. I see you. I name you as Roadwalker, and I demand passage." Her words came from some deep place, some inherited knowledge she didn't know she had. "This is the crossroads, and you have no power here." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shadow shrieked, a sound like tearing metal and breaking glass, and it released us. The Honda lurched forward, suddenly free, and I aimed it at the interstate ramp. We hit it going 20 miles per hour, the car coughing and dying, but we made it. We rolled to a stop on the shoulder of Interstate 90, the engine smoking, the entire rear half of the car a crumpled ruin. I looked back at Route 49. The shadow stood exactly at the mile marker 46 sign, unable or unwilling to cross onto the interstate. It swayed there, and I could still see the faces trapped inside, fading now as we got farther away. Then headlights appeared on Route 49, a pickup truck heading north, oblivious, a T. The shadow turned toward the new prey and began to glide. "We have to warn them," Sarah said, already fumbling for her phone. But we had no way to reach them, no way to stop what was about to happen. We watched helplessly as the truck passed mile marker 34, and in its rearview mirror, something tall and dark appeared on the road behind it. The cycle was beginning again. We flagged down a state trooper 20 minutes later, told him about the truck, about the shadow. He looked at us like we were drunk or high, saw the state of our car, and called for an ambulance instead. They never found the pickup truck. It vanished somewhere between mile markers 34 and 46, just like all the others. Route 49 is still open. People still drive it, especially at night when it's faster than the interstate. And the Roadwalker is still there, waiting at mile marker 34, hungry for the next set of headlights. We tried to get the road closed, but accidents happen on every highway. Missing persons are just statistics. No one believes in shadows that follow cars. But we know, and now you know too. If you ever find yourself on Route 49 after dark, and you see something tall and impossible in your rearview mirror, don't stop. Don't slow down. Can pray you can make it 12 miles to the crossroads before it makes you part of the road forever.